Warning! Gender roles in medieval Europe sucked, and they treated women like property. This is reflected in a lot of their stories, particularly the ones where a human girl is kidnapped and taken to the Fae realm for the exact reasons that you would think a guy would kidnap a vulnerable girl. I don't go into detail, but it is mentioned and addressed, and if that is a trigger for you, you should probably proceed with caution. Oh, you beat up a white supremacist, and where was I? This was like a year before we met, during one of my stints in jail. I had it coming. I don't doubt it. Did you win? The guards broke it up too soon. God, remember when they used to set up prison fights like gladiatorial arenas and place bets? Yeah, that was like 8 human rights violations. And also, you couldn't have been older than 5. I know you weren't behind bars then. Yeah, but I did time with a few guys who lived through it. What about you? Any good fights? How much time do you have? Right, dumb question. Any good fights with the Fae supremacist? Oh yeah, especially when they find out I'm Kitri. They can't throw hands fast enough. Ki what? Kitri, Fae word for mixed. It's unique to this universe, so don't expect to find it in an actual book about Fae lore. Although I suppose technically you could just use the word changeling. Wait, oh shit, you're part human? Yeah, one of my dad's grandmothers was a human woman. It's kind of fucked up. My great-grandmother was from Ireland, I think. About 1,500 years ago, so Christianity was in place and people couldn't talk about fairies or sorcerers without getting executed. Not that that stopped them. My ancestor had an older sister who was a midwife. The way my great-grandfather talked about her, he said she was either too cautious or too bold, depending on the day. Anyway, one day my ancestor and her sister are in the town square and they get to talking about boys. Jimmy came by the other day, asked to call on you. I don't care for Ginny. You spent all of last week complaining about how none of the boys would even look at you, and now that one is, you're going colder than ice. Is he not to your liking? No. But I've met someone who is. No. Who? Was he one of those passing merchants? No. He lives in the woods. The woods. Huh? Are you courting a fairy? Maybe?
Do you have any idea how dangerous that is?
Oh, good God, you're dull. It's not dangerous as long as we don't tell the clergy.
I'm not worried about the clergy. I'm worried about the fairy. He could ruin your reputation at best, whisk you away at worst.
Oh, so he's a man. He's sweet and kind and an absolute gentleman. And if he does whisk me away, then that just means I get to be his bride in his realm, which is what happens to everyone. I don't like this. We don't know his intentions, his history. Oh, it'll be fine. Maybe it'll end in marriage. Maybe it'll just be a dalliance. You have to learn to live a little. I'm going to assume it wasn't just a dalliance. No. Concubines are a sign of status in the Fae realm, much like in many mortal cultures. Of course, Fae women have rights and expect to be treated with respect. Mortal women have no rights in the Fae realm. Seducing young mortals is one way that fairies would gain such concubines. But I've heard stories where, instead of this long con, they simply used mind control music, very similar to the Pied Piper. Concubine? That's the polite word for it. Your great-grandma was a sex slave? Most medieval women were sex slaves when you think about it. Ancient ones too. They weren't even legally people. That doesn't exactly have a great environment for consent. That's your argument? Well, I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying this horrifying thing was very normalized. It makes our current rape culture look like child's play. Considering how many fathers traded away their daughters for wealth or prospective business deals, it's not much of a leap to say that sex trafficking was very common and legal. And since the daughters often had little to no say in the matter, yeah, okay, yep, I'd run away with the nice hot stranger in the woods too. Fae realm can't be much worse than that. That's exactly what my great-grandmother thought. Her midwife sister woke up one day and she wasn't there. The villagers spent weeks searching, going through the woods, asking other towns, but there was nothing. It was like she'd vanished in thin air. And then, about a year later... I'm coming. What is it? Who's hurt? You're the midwife? Yes. My wife just started her labors. Who is she, and who are you? She said she only trusted her sister to deliver the baby. Let me get my cloak. Girl, get your gun. Those weren't invented for another 1,000 years. Sword, knife, a particularly pointy stick. I don't care. Anyway, the midwife shared my great-grandfather's horse, and they rode into the woods. They turned on a trail the midwife had never seen before, passed through a weird circle of trees, and ended up right on the doorstep of this gorgeous manor, entering the Fae realm. And the midwife was actually really happy because as she came into the manor, she saw that it was well-built, it was warm, and when she finally saw her sister, she saw her healthy and giving birth.
I see I missed the wedding. Can you yell at me later?
Well, most women want a distraction from the pain, especially when the baby has another hour or so, in my estimation. Have you been sick recently? Had any falls? Fallen for any other strange men in the woods? No, and no. Luckily, everything went well, and my grandmother was born. It's a girl, loud and healthy. Here, rub the baby down with this.
What is it?
It's a type of ointment that helps prevent disease.
Can I take some?
No. Fine. Is that really what it was? Yeah, actually. Fae can't lie, remember? There are multiple medicinal magics in the Fae realm. The strongest and most powerful translates simply to all heal. It can heal any and all injuries, although it's a bit more finicky on diseases. However, there is a type specifically designed for newborns and more targeted toward disease and illness. It was designed for Kitri, as full-blooded Fae cannot get sick. While mortal children died at alarming rates on Earth in the medieval period, Kitri child mortality was a fraction of that.
Oh, cool.
However, due to the magic in such an ointment, it can also have the unintended side effect of cutting through the glamour. Glamour being illusion magic, right? It's what allows you to look like a regular human sometimes. It's less illusion and more transformation, but yes. There we go. Almost done.
You're gonna be so green and slimy.
The midwife got an itch in her eye and accidentally wiped the ointment into it. When she did, she could see through the glamour through that one eye. The beautiful room in the manor was a rough cave. The silk sheets that her sister lay on were musty animal skins, her fancy nightgown nothing but rags. She could even see the true Fae nature of her host and niece.
Something wrong?
No, sorry, I'm just tired.
You're tired.
Well, once you're on your feet again, you can come visit us back at the village. Oh, our parents are going to be so happy to see you again, and with the granddaughter. I don't think that's going to happen. Perhaps you'd like to stay for a meal. I'm sure my wife would appreciate such expert help.
Oh, well.
No, she can't stay. She's the midwife for my hometown. They need her. She's not staying. Very well. I'll ready the horse and take her home.
I am not leaving without you. Yes, you are. Get out. Get away from him while you still can. I can take the babe. She's part Fae. She'll have a much happier life here than I will.
Oh, if you eat anything from the Fae realm, you're stuck there. You can't eat anything else. And my ancestor had been there for over a year. If she left, she'd be unable to eat any food from Earth, and she'd starve to death. Quite possibly endangering her daughter's life, too, if there wasn't a wet nurse available.
Fuck.
There are modern medicines and methods that can reverse that particular curse, but they did not exist back then. So the midwife just left? She had to. My great-grandfather gave her a ride back home and paid her 5 golden coins. At least, they were gold to her left eye. With her right eye, she could see that they were actually just bits of bark.
Well, asshole!
Oh, it gets worse. A few weeks later, she's at the market and she bumps into her brother-in-law. Don't accept his money.
What?
Excuse me? It's not real gold, it's fake. It'll turn to bits of bark tomorrow. But as apples are my sister's favorite fruit, I'll purchase them. And you can tell me how they're doing. Are they still alive? Yes, both of them. Healthy and well-fed. How did you... Are they kept warm in that little cave of yours? I can't seem to find it again, no matter how many times I look. It's protected by quite a few layers of magic. I glamoured it to a completely different form for this outing. How did you recognize me? I have my ways. You rubbed dry with the ointment. I had an itch. Right then. Oh, Jesus Christ.
He did what?
Yep. She never saw through a glamour again. And probably had to wear an eye patch. That was technically merciful of him. She broke Fey law using the ointment on herself, and he could have killed her for it.
So she loses an eye, loses a sister, loses a niece, and the fairy abuser walks away clean? What the fuck? This is the worst story ever.
You want to answer that, boss? The Kitri baby and her eventual Kitri child, Cyrus's father, grew up to be part of the human rebellion that I joined when Cyrus was a boy. Although they were all immortal, which is the most important thing in Fae society, they were still seen as lesser, and because of that they related quite a bit to their oppressed human kin. Their full-blooded Fae progenitor, on the other hand, supported my Fae supremacist royal family, and he and I ended up in a knife fight.
You killed him?
Unfortunately, we needed him alive, and he had too many wealthy connections to not at least try to ransom him back, especially since our own coffers were running dry, and we needed to keep our soldiers clothed and fed. However, when he tried to escape custody through that knife fight...
You traitor! You think you're gonna get a full price after drawing blood?
Perhaps not, but the discounted price is still worth far more than the true value of the goods. Guard, send this to his friends so they know our patience for their payment is limited. Princess? I'm not a princess anymore, child. If you insist on using titles, then you may call me Lady.
Right. Lady Violet?
Yes?
Do we have to give him back? Because he just got a new human wife, and I don't think he treats her right. I treat her just fine. She is mortal. She should be grateful I brought her to the Fae realm at all. Married Fae children is an honor, even if they are half-breeds.
I appreciate you telling me that. Why don't you go to the kitchens with one of the guards and get a snack?
Ooh, snack.
You two guards, hold him down while I use a much smaller knife. You didn't have to send me into the kitchens. I knew what you were doing. Would you please allow me the illusion that I acted as a responsible adult?
Nope. Fairies can't lie.